Welcome to episode 75 of the Kids with Big Emotions podcast, formerly known as Calm Nights, Strong Days. Today's episode is one that I should have done last week before school started. In hindsight, because after yesterday was the first day of school, and I started speaking to some of my neighbors' parents where kids go to school, and I was like, ooh, all of these emotions come up, and I was talking through some strategies to help them this week. They're like, oh my gosh, this is so helpful. So I knew that I needed to come on here and share them with you. It's strategies that I have definitely used over the years with my kids. We used to have a walking school bus where one of the neighbors would walk a bunch of kids to school and another would walk back. So when I was always on the home, there were certain things that I always did to help the kids be able to manage themselves after school. And that's what we're going to be diving into today. So, how has your first week been? Have you had a lot of anxiety? Were they excited to go? But as the week started going along, you started seeing more of their shark coming out, more anger, more frustration, um, being, just shorter about things at home. Have you been seeing them more anxious about things, worrying about things more, not wanting to go to school, or pretty much just shutting down and being in that turtle? Have you seen these emotions with them? Like, where is your child um, when you have them? Like, beyond exhausted by the end of the week? How was your weekend? I mean, some of these kids thrive when they are around other kids and they just love being in that school environment, and other kids are the opposite. I'm going to make an assumption with you being here that your child may um, be on that other end where there are just a lot of things that do stress them out at school. So I'm going to go through some of the reasons that they may be struggling this week. And hopefully, some of them help you with some strategies to be able to get through not only like next week and the week after, but like through the whole school season. So let's start with the first and the easiest one is hunger. So quite often, I know when I was the home person on the walking school bus, I had a bunch of snacks. I ended up learning what all the kids liked. So I had really good healthy snacks. Sometimes it was some cold cuts just rolled up with like fruits and vegetables. Sometimes it was bars if that's all that I, needed to grab and go as I was heading out of the house. I wasn't as prepared. Sometimes I just have a bag of apples. Um, all kinds of fruit, veg, different things that I would bring for them because while they're at school, and the mom I was speaking with yesterday, she said her daughter is amazing at eating lunch at home, but when she's out and about, she doesn't get much in. And I'm like, yeah, all of these kids. I mean, especially if they're in a new class, there's so many things to see and look at. They're talking with other kids, they're getting into other conversations. There are so many more important things than eating their lunch at that moment in school, or they may have turtled. They may have been so overwhelmed that their stomach, their digestion is shut off. In your stress system, or being in a shark, or also being in the marlin, the clownfish, Nemo's dad from Finding Nemo, when they are in that anxiety, worrying about everything. What happens is you switch into the nervous system of your stress state. And when you do that, your digestion slows down. Sometimes your hunger decreases and you really struggle to eat. So there's so many different reasons the kid could just be so excited, so happy, so into things, or so worried, so upset, so overwhelmed that they may decrease their ability to eat during the day. So they may come home. Sometimes too, I'd be like, hey, who still has lunch in their lunchbox? And I would stop and give us that moment for everybody to open up their bags, open up their lunch boxes, and grab some things from there to finish eating what was in their lunches. And there were days where, like, one of the kids, we would walk home where his whole entire lunch would be there because attention was not easy for him. And he got so distracted during lunch So stopping and allowing him, sometimes I would hold his lunch bag and he would grab one thing and eat it and another. And it was amazing because these kids would usually be slow sometimes in the walk or all over the place. And by the time some would be grumpy, some would be anxious, some would just have shut down. And by the time that we got to our house, humans appeared. And just the rest of our evening got so much better. And so that is honestly like the hugest thing. Whenever there's any stressors of any type, we always go back to the basics: breathing, water, and food. Always. So making sure that those things are there. I would also sometimes come with a great drink that I knew that they all enjoyed. Usually I am pro water for everything, but whenever I'm in times of need, it's like, what will they have? So I have taught my youngest how to make lemonade. He loves it, opens up the can, adds the 3 or 4 cans of water based on the one that we buy, makes his own lemonade, and he will chug it when he's dehydrated. Yes, there's sugars and stuff in it, but the hydration, the amount of stress that's placed on your body of the hydration versus the sugar on his body, the hydration is my priority at that point in time. So yeah, hunger, hydration. Make sure that you can do those things as you're getting there. Now, the next one is the mental overload. There are so many new faces, so many new routines. Visually, there's so much going on. Like absolutely so much going on with these kids. If they have any executive functioning struggles, so they have any struggles with attention, paying attention to anything, they are probably squirreling all over the place. And there's so many new things for them to look at that after the first week, after the second week, they get used to where everything is, what is all in there. That's for a kid who doesn't struggle with attention. Their attention is already being pulled in tons of places. When a child, and so after the second week or so, they start getting used to where everything is, and those don't pull them away. But kids with the attention struggles, ADHD or non-ADHD, but still struggle with attention in certain places, it's amazing. Especially and we're thinking of I'm thinking of the thing of where they're actually losing attention, but there's also the kids that get hyper focused on certain noises. So they start hearing every scream, every sigh, every noise, every foot shuffle. And that starts becoming overwhelming for them as well. There's so much to this. Perception. If they're a child that struggles to perceive their environment, they may not remember where things are, that every single day they're going into school, they're like, oh yeah, that's where this is. Or they may not even remember that, right? So things, when I'm saying perception as well, so cool. I love my kids' friends. And the other day, I loved it. I'm really going to miss summer. One of them decided to teach the others how to make fried rice. And it was so cute. And the one child who struggles with perception, struggles with attention, focusing on things, struggles with inhibition, rushes everything all of the time. And so that following a plan is tough, was just so excited to start cracking eggs. So they started cracking eggs in the pot. And another child asked them, what kind of eggs do you want? And he's like, oh, scrambled. They're like, oh, well, we need to mix them first before we put them in the pan. They're like, well, do you have a plan for this? What is your plan? And they're like, oh, I don't have a plan, right? Well, they didn't freak out. They're just like, nope, don't have one. And so this is a child who, when they go into a classroom, they're going to have to perceive. So this child has seen that was perception I was speaking of. Sorry. I have some attention struggles. It is fascinating when you start learning EF, you see where you are. My attention gets diverted different places too on different thoughts. So with the perception, this child had seen their parent many times make scrambled eggs, and their perception of that'd be actually a lot of their nonverbal working memory, wasn't able to put that image of the difference of cracking an egg in a bowl and mixing it up first. They did not put that image in their brain and relate that with making scrambled eggs. So that child, this is a nonverbal working memory piece. this child could, when they go into a classroom, they may not be able to visually put that piece of where things go in the classroom. Where are things as easily as others, that it might take them multiple times of trying to remember where their coats and shoes go, where their bags go, where their homework goes when they're older. To be able to perceive where everything is in the classroom, that is such a taxing piece on their verbal working memory of having that image of where things are and creating all of those little images of everything in the classroom. They may not be able to do that, or it may take them a lot longer to do that. That the exhaustion of the first week is crazy. And the perception as well of perceiving what other people are wanting or needing at certain times, what the teacher is wanting or needing, can be so taxing on somebody. Inhibition, you have to sit there all the time. And inhibition is where a child needs to stop and do things, where the child or adult is in the middle of doing something, they're not able to switch gears as easily, right? They know that what they're doing, they should be doing something else, but they have that struggle to stop what they're doing, or the struggle to stop saying things out loud, the struggle to keep their hands to themselves. That's inhibition. So all of those kids that are now being told, okay, don't touch anything, when there's this whole classroom filled with all these amazing things to touch. Oh my gosh, the exhaustion, the mental load that takes on that child is unbelievable, unbelievable. And this can affect these kids if they're not working on those pieces of their executive functioning for all the way into middle school, high school, all of these things where everything just becomes a struggle, having to, keep focus and attention, not touch things, not say things, not interrupt things, not go and do something that's pulling your eye to it. It is so hard. And to remember where everything is visually. There's another piece that I find so fascinating with nonverbal working memory is nonverbal working memory. Its job is actually to be able to think past and future as well. Now, here's the fascinating thing with kids is a kid who does not have a nonverbal working executive functioning struggle, when they're 3 to 5 years old, they can only think 5 to 20 minutes ahead. So if they're thinking ahead only 20 minutes, they're not thinking to, oh, my mom's coming to pick me up at the end of the day. It's all they're thinking is my mom just left me here. They can't actually think that their mom has left them, has picked them up until through the week, every day of the week, they come and pick them up and they go home, that they start imprinting that memory into their brain. But they still can't think 15 to 20 minutes ahead, but they can think in the past and go, oh, my mom picked me up the other day, she'll pick me up today. But kindergarten to first grade, they can only think several hours ahead. So that's why there's so many meltdowns and stuff. There are other reasons as well for meltdowns, but that is a big one for kids when they're younger. 3rd grade to 6th grade, they can think 2 to 3 days ahead. So they can plan 2 to 3 days ahead. So if you tell them that they have homework to do or work to do, or there's something coming up in 2 to 3 days, they can think about it and plan about it and get excited about it. But more than that, they can't. And 3rd to 6th grade is, I just said that, 2 to 3 days. 17 to 23-year-olds is 2 to 3 weeks. So think about this. High school, college, they can only think 2 to 3 weeks ahead. And at the start of the year, the teachers are telling them, sometimes they're given all the stuff for the year. And they're like, what the heck do I do with all of this? That can be so overwhelming for them if they're not prepared for it, if they don't have a plan for it, to understand it and know that it's going to be happening. So it's actually something in the moment. And then they're 23 to 35, they can think 3 to 5. I remember having a conversation with somebody about 4 or 6 months ago. Maybe it was a year ago. She was so stressing. She was in her second last year of university, and she had to figure out what she wanted to do after university. Was it to go for her master's, or was it to go into the work field? And if so, what work? And she was freaking out about that because she was trying to think 5 years, 10 years ahead, what she was going to do with the rest of her life. And we broke it down for her into thinking, okay, what does she just feel like doing now? Because all of that's going to change the more that she, learns about things and evolves and grows. And it's just fascinating when you start really thinking about these timelines, these developmental timelines that, oh, these timelines are from Sarah Ward. She's an SLP. It's her research. And I've learned this from Tara Sumpner in her Seeds of Learning program that is all executive function based for SLPs, parents, and teachers. So, yeah, these development of timelines are just fascinating when you start thinking about that and relating that to the first day of school for all of these ages. That sometimes the teachers are talking about, further ahead, not even just today, what they expected them for the full year. And they're like, I can't think of the full year. I'm only thinking like a couple of hours ahead. So their executive functioning gets so taxed, so taxed. And as we described before, the executive functioning system, the more that you are exhausted, the more that you are stressed, the less it can manage itself. And if we think of this like an orchestra, a conductor, executive functioning is that manager that's managing all of these pieces in your brain, your perception, your attention, your nonverbal working memory, your inhibition, your verbal working memory, planning ability, decision making, flexible thinking, all of these things. It struggles so much. And then these kids are struggling to follow plans, hand in homework, execute assignments. If they have anything this week like that, oh my gosh, for the older kids, like this can just set them through the roof. So what do you do about it? First week of school and first month of school, I would say, plan the least amount as you can in the evenings. If they have more bandwidth, if their executive functioning system is doing great, if their dolphin brain is kicked in, they're engaged, and they would like to be more active and do something, then they can go and find something to do. Absolutely. But what you may find is closer to Friday, like they just keeps dwindling. Their executive functioning, they're shorter with you. They're not able to manage small tasks around the house. They might not be able to help as much around the house, struggling to pack their bag for school, struggling to get their homework done, more arguments with their friends, more anxiety. All these things might be kicking in. So make sure that you're feeding them and you're hydrating them. That's your focus as your parent. Truthfully, feed, hydrate, and don't excite them too much. Give them less stimulation as possible, and really make sure that you are setting them up the best for their sleep. So being a sleep coach, this is like a big one in our house, is really setting yourself up for sleep. Interestingly, my son just did his first sleepover camp. And the thing that he said he didn't like was how late the bedtime was. I was told it was actually 10 p.m., but they were going to bed at 11, and the last night, 12:30. My son starts going up to bed between 7:30 and 8 o'clock every night, and he's lights out by 8:30. He's 12, almost 13. He'll be 13 next week. We are so set on our sleep. So we're like more on that extreme. But like he wears an Aura ring. I'm getting him a Whoop band actually for his birthday. To really be tracking his sleep. He knows what works for his sleep, when he needs to go to bed to get the maximum amount of sleep for his executive functioning system, for his whole body and brain to heal and repair, the best for him to have the best day the next day. And for him, it's more sleep. His younger brother goes to bed later than him. It's what he needs. So starting to really calm things down. So some things that you can do at night to calm down are closing blinds, even though it's still light out. Closing the blinds is hugely helpful. If you can change your light bulbs for red light bulbs. So we have our like ceiling lights and stuff, but at night we turn those off. And I have like what do they call them? Standing lights? I don't know what they're called. Standing lights that has like 3 different lights in it. And one of those lights has a red light bulb in it. My bedside tables, all of our bedside table lights have red light bulbs. This is huge because the light can actually stop them from falling asleep for 1 to 2 hours. It stops their actual melatonin, their sleep hormone, from kicking in. So making sure that it's like as dark in there. We often listen to audiobooks instead of watching TV in the evening. I'll get them a snack with the low lights, with the red lights on, low lights, and snack, low lights, and listening to an audiobook that's calming for them. And then we bring that audiobook still upstairs, and sometimes they'll lay in bed or they'll read with the red lights on, and they'll read for a while in bed. So they're not getting screens in their eyes or blue lights in their eyes. Makes such a difference. And making sure that they do have that downtime before they actually go into their bed, is so important. Um, if you guys want more on sleep, let me know. I don't normally cover a lot of that on here, but I really can. Um, it's a big part of like being a sleep and stress coach is what I do. I just wrote a huge sleep program actually for uh, one of my business programs that I'm in. They actually asked me to write the sleep program for all of the members that they have. So it can absolutely help you. If you have any questions on that one, let me know. So to recap on this, your child is so mentally taxed, so mentally overloaded, so exhausted. Don't ask them questions. Oh, I didn't say that one, I don't think. Don't ask them questions. Don't ask them how, like, all about tell me everything you did and all that. Unless it's a child that's talkative and wants to, you can kind of suss it out. I might say, how was your day? And see how they respond. I might ask them like a silly question and see how they respond. If they're struggling to respond to that, I don't ask them what they did today, because to try to go back through their nonverbal working memory, pull out those images and pictures of what they did that day and think in the past is a big executive functioning skill that they may not have the bandwidth to process or to go over with you. So whatever it is that helps them relax. For some kids, it might be jumping on the trampoline or going to the park and running around. They may need that. I know sometimes too with my kids, it would be where I would bring them food and we would stay and run around for a little bit before we went home to get all of their extra like energy out. But the first week of school, they usually just were so done. We needed to just be home and calm. But you know your child best. So is it that they need movement, or do they need calm and less stimulation? It really, really is case dependent. So recapping on all this, food, drink, they are your biggest weapons, secret weapons. Whenever your child is struggling, try to get food or drink in them anytime. I even know there's a therapist, Robin Gobble, who talks about in her therapy room, she has double bubble gum, which whenever a kid is struggling, she gives it to them and it actually starts getting that nurturing system, like it switches their state and helps them to a little more self-regulate. So chewing on something helps with that self-regulation. Food, drink, don't ask them too many questions. Decrease your stimulation as best as possible. Try not to get them into activities. I know on my street, they're actually having a street festival. They've started, I think this is their third year doing it. And they do it the first week after school. And I'm like, whoa. And my kids can't handle it. It's so loud. They have a band. I mean, it's great. The kids love it. They have a band. They had a dunking tape. They have a tank. They had basketballs. Like they brought in like, I think blow up things. I'm not sure. They like hired out like festival stuff to come, pizza, ice cream. Like it's tons of fun. The thing is that the first week of school for certain kids, especially mine, it's a lot of stimulation for them after a stimulating week of school. So just try to decrease, like not scheduling to go and visit people and go places, just, unless that's what your child needs to actually calm and regulate them. You know your child best, but making sure that it's calm and less stimulation. Understanding that their executive functioning system is taxed, understanding that they've worked their perception, their attention, like through the roof, their inhibition. They have inhibited like crazy throughout their day. They have put so much into their verbal and nonverbal working memories, or tried to, if their executive functioning skill abilities are up there. If not, then oh my gosh, like their bandwidth is done. And make sure that they really have a good solid bed routine. Yeah, so important. Hopefully this has been helpful for you. I really am hoping you had a good week. Let me know. If you're in our Facebook group, absolutely post in there. Let me know how your first week went. Speaking of, I'm going to actually go and do a post in there right now and ask everybody how their week's been going with school, with their kids. So if you're not in the group, come into the group. Link is in the show notes. We would love to have you. It's a community of other parents like you with really cool kids with big emotions. And we're all here to support each other. So post in that group. If your week has been great, oh my gosh, I'm so excited for you. Give yourself a high five. That's just absolutely amazing. If you've had a really tough week, know that we've all been there. We're all here to support you in any way that you can. Hop into the group, ask me any questions, hop on a 30-minute call, or I think they're 25 minutes. Hop on a call with me. The link is in the show notes. Ask me any questions, ask me for any support. Let me know what your week was like and go, where can I get help here? And I'll help you with that. Let me know. All right. Any questions, you know where to find me. All the links are in the show notes. Oh, big thing. Can't believe I forgot this. Membership. I am in the works. So my website is coming up. I don't think it'll be up when this airs, but it'll be up very soon. My website is coming up. And if you go to the Work With Me page, you'll see the one-on-one work that I do with kids, but also I'm building out a membership site. It's cheap. It's only like $59 a month or something. And it's where I'm going to do more teaching. It's where I'm going to like be doing what you want. So you let me know. I have a wait list happening for it now. There will always be a wait list because I will only open it up like every couple of months or so that I can, when parents are joining, I can make sure that they're getting some support as they're joining. It is a membership site, so it's up to you to be popping into it and coming in and getting the support, but it'll be full of parents like you. And I'll be doing a lot of teaching in there. It's where I'm going to be hosting my courses. I'm going to see what courses do you want? Do you want one more on, well, I'm going to be combining it actually with a lot of the stress system tools, how to help kids in the heat of the moment, how to help stress systems to become stronger so that they can handle more stressors. And I'm going to be diving into like the executive functioning. I can dive into sleep in that, all of the different stressors that are out there, because there's so many different stressors, and I'm going to be bringing all of those into this membership site. So it's going to be like a whole wealth of knowledge for you. And I will open it up once I have 10 people that are interested in it at the start, and then it will just continue growing throughout. Starting at the beginning means that you are going to get way more of my attention, which means you're getting like one-on-one coaching at the start. As the group grows, it will mean that that I'd be spreading my attention between a lot of the people in the group, which is why I do have one-on-one sessions, and to really be honing in personalization and giving you the accountability and real personalization. Oh my gosh. It's just going to be, I'll be able to tailor it to what the people want who are joining it at the beginning. So that link is going to be in the show notes once it is available. Oh, you know what? I can put in a link, the wait list, the signing up for the wait list. I'll put that link there. And yeah, super excited to have you join. So let me know what you think about that as well. All right, that is it for today's episode. I am really excited actually about next week's. I've been speaking with quite a few parents about this, about getting help for their kids at school and the struggles that they've been having. So I'm going to be going over all of the things that I've learned since with going through this with my son and actually having to pull him because I didn't know what to ask. I didn't understand enough of what was going on with my son to be able to push for things, navigate for things, and learn how to really get that system going. And so I'm going to teach you all of that next week. All right, I will see you in the next episode.